What's up, guys? It's Justin. I have an incredible episode in store for you today. Grab your Kleenex and get ready to be inspired. You don't want to miss this one. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford Podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford Podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today. I hope you've been doing great since the last episode. If you're loving the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at The Official Justin Ford. Again, at The Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also right here on YouTube. And we got a great episode in store for you today. But before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Next Door Lending is currently licensed in 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Guys, as you know, anytime I bring a guest on the show, I want to make sure that that guest can add value to you, the listener. We look at, what they've been able to accomplish, not only in life, but also in real estate. And the guest that I have today on the show is an absolute rock star. Please help me welcome my friend, my colleague, and my brother, Curt Shewell.
Thank you very much.
How you doing, brother?
You kidding me? I'm super delighted to be here. I'm fired up about it. So yeah. I was super excited when you said, hey, let's do this. And it was like, about time.
Yeah,
right?
No, absolutely. I'm glad you're here. So much to talk about, man. And we just came off of an amazing event.
We did.
For those that are listening, Curt and I are in EXP together, but we're like cousins, right? We're cross cousins. We're not in the same family tree, but we're the same family.
We 100% are.
And that's the one thing that I really love about EXP that's different than other companies is, we all win together, and that's one of the reasons why I came over to EXP. I'm sure it's why you came to EXP 100%. Is there's no competition,
Right.
And that's one thing that I really appreciate about you, Curt, is that even though we're not in the same line per se, you've never treated me any different. And I really appreciate that about you.
Well, all right. Think about it just from a straight perspective, right? If you could draw the perfect brokerage, and I used to do the videos on the perfect brokerage. What's a perfect brokerage?
Right.
Well, what if you didn't have to worry about running to the copy machine because you got to get your papers because people are grabbing your stuff? And I listen to these horror stories and been in the game for over 20 years now. And yes, it's weird. You have competition of people in your own office. It's like, what's going on?
Right.
Now, I'm all about friendly competition, right? You and I are very competitive guys. No matter what we're doing, we look at, is somebody at the leaderboard above my name? Oh, well, we have to change that.
Right. Yep.
And so we're very competitive that way. But the first thing we do is we befriend the person who's at the top because it's like, if that's what they're doing, I want to know how they're doing it.
Absolutely.
Because I know I'll do it better.
Yep, 100%.
Right? And that's just our nature. At the same time, though, wouldn't it be great if we could do it together? And everybody's heard all the cliches and such. But the reason that they're cliches is because they're real and they're right.
Absolutely.
Right? If you want to go fast, go by yourself.
Right.
And you can run, but you're going to run through the woods and you're going to get lost.
Right.
If you want to go far, we got to go together.
Absolutely.
So you're so much stronger with an army.
Yep.
And the people that think they've got it dialed in and figured out, they take off and like, oh, I got it now. Like,
right.
You got what now? You've been doing this for a hot minute. Like, come on, seriously?
Yep.
Like, do you not understand what you're learning? Oh no, I got it now. I learned. Thank you, man. I learned from you. I'm out. And then they go off in this, and they always get lost. Always. And I learned that a long time ago. So if I can constantly make sure my tribe is really my tribe, and you know who those people are. You know who the people are on the surface. Yeah, hey, how you doing? High fives. But then, you kind of do your thing. But they're part of the group. And if you can bring them along further and further, and I always said that there's, not everybody's going to like you.
Right.
You don't everybody in the world likes you, and everybody in the world likes me.
Yeah.
But I always believe the reason they don't like me is because they don't really know me.
Exactly.
If they really know me,
yep.
right? And you go on stage all the time, and probably one of the biggest draws to me, to you, is you tell your story and you're not ashamed of it, you're not afraid of it, and you put it out there and go, this is what I came from.
Right.
Doesn't mean who I am now.
Right, exactly.
Right? And I tell my kids the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I wasn't always the best guy.
Right.
I'm still not always the best guy.
Right.
But I try to live the best life I can. I
That's
try
all
to
we
make
can
sure
do.
I'm the best example.
Absolutely.
And if you can lead by example,
yep.
people will follow. And I always say, if you want to know if you're a leader or not, and people, I'm a leader. I'm like, well, turn around. Yeah. Nobody behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not exactly a leader, right? You might be a good manager.
Right.
Right. You may run a good business and you may make money,
yep.
but it doesn't make you a good leader.
Absolutely.
When you turn around and you got a whole bunch of people standing there like, okay, what's next? You're like, wow. All right. And sometimes, I always call it the unassumed leader. You didn't assume the role, you became it. It just is. That's who you are. Yep. And you're one of those people. So I resonate to those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you got a tribe, well, I want my tribe with your tribe.
Absolutely.
Right? So we can come together and do this. And that's why, like you said, embracing you're a real deal player in this game.
Amen.
Like, why would I not?
Right.
Why? Because I don't financially gain from something you do?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
If that's what you look for and live in life, then you're missing the entire journey.
Yeah.
It's the ability for us to work together, yet we're not getting paid from each other.
Right.
I don't care about the money I could get or not get from you. It's about what I can learn and what I can grow with you.
Yeah.
Now we're so much stronger.
So much
better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And there's the non-competition, like you said, and not to pitch brokerages, but the reason I did come here was because I could work with 7 people the day I started who are financially aligned with me.
Yeah.
Financially aligned.
Right.
Not just that want to, they're nice and they want to help you.
Right.
Bull crap.
Yeah.
They really don't. They wouldn't mind helping, but that's not, but they don't wake up in the morning going, man, boy, if I could just help Justin today, wouldn't that be great? That's not what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But when you're financially aligned, they wake up going, okay, man, what am I going to do? I got to make sure Justin's, what can I do for Justin? What can I do for Curt? What can I do for Sally? What can I do for Susie? What can I do for Tina? What can I do for Gogo? I wake up thinking these things.
Yeah.
Right? How do I help them? How do I build them? Because if I can build them, it builds me too.
Absolutely.
And that's what this is about. Well, it's not just about your own people that you financially gain from. I have to help build Justin, because if Justin can really thrive and Justin can build, it makes it easier for my people to thrive and to build.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And that's why I do it the way I do it. And that's why my door is always open. I say yes to everybody.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And if you do, it will all come together.
And you do such a good job at it. And I know it's not just me, but I see how you serve our community, right? The EXP community, but the real estate community, because I know it's not just an EXP thing. Mm-hmm. When you're a giver, you're willing to give and help anybody. And, it was really awesome to see the EXP build event come together, recently that you headed up. And what was awesome was, before we got on the show, these were events that were all over the country, and ours was one of the most successful one. I'm not surprised, Curt, because you were heading it up, bro.
Wow, that's kind of you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And to be honest, Brooke, my assistant.
Rock star. Shout out to Brooke.
Right. I mean, she's over the top. So when you have good people around you, some of them become great people.
Yeah.
She's one of those. My wife, right, who never was involved in any of the businesses I had and anything, no matter where I was working. She supported it from the aspect of, oh, your husband does this. Or,
another rock star.
Right? She is.
Yeah.
She's incredible. So I give tons of kudos to her.
Yep.
And, my kids, not, like, what do your kids really have to do with your business? Well, they're your why.
Yep.
And if they truly are, they're part of it, because they live in my successes and they also live in my failures.
They do.
So they get it. And now all my kids are adults, right?
Yep.
So my baby, my youngest of 5 kids, she's 23 years old.
Wow.
So, she's like, okay, Dad, all right, I know you're doing this and you do that. Here, I'll give you something. So probably one of my most proud days was literally yesterday.
Wow.
So it's amazing we're here today. So today's a special day in my family. Today I have 5 kids: Matt, Jamie, Stephanie, Savannah, and Sydney.
Yeah.
So boy, girl. And my oldest daughter, Stephanie, when she was 11, she went to heaven, right? She was sick when at 8, she got sick. So when she was 11, she went to heaven. It was 17 years ago today.
Wow.
So today's the day she went to heaven. So it's her birthday in heaven.
Wow.
So we celebrate it.
Yeah.
So I get together with my kids. We have a lunch, a dinner, a breakfast. We do something every year on this date.
Yeah.
So no matter what day of the week it is, we make it happen. So today's a real special day. And when we scheduled this, I hadn't thought about, oh, hey, this is going to be an emotional day for me, a special day for me, a special day for my family, special day for all of us. Yeah. And yesterday, I'm at the office working, and at about, 4 o'clock, all of a sudden this delivery shows up, and it's a edible, arrangement thing.
Edible arrangement, yeah.
And there's all the balloons, and then, there's all the, the fruits covered in chocolates and all the yummies, right?
Yeah.
So it's in there. Well, there's a card. And now I see this, and I have no idea who this is from. I didn't expect it. I wasn't sure it was for me. And they're like, no, it's for you. I'm like, all right. I opened the card. The card was from my other kids. And they said, we know that tomorrow's a special day, so we wanted to send you this to let you know how proud we know Stephanie is of you.
Wow.
From heaven.
Yeah.
And that was from my other kids. And I'm like, oh my God. And I got all flushed,
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. This is my kids saying she would be proud of you because we are.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
That's special, man.
You get choked up and you start going, wow, I did a lot wrong, but man, I did something right.
Yeah.
I did something right. So that was a pretty amazing thing yesterday. So I was full of a lot of different emotions last night, which usually hit me today.
Yeah.
And every year you don't know how it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
Because life comes at you. Remember, it's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it.
Absolutely.
And I felt very, if I can use the word, I felt real special yesterday.
Yeah.
That, wow, my kids sent that to me.
Yeah.
That they're thinking that way. Like, if I was them, I wouldn't be thinking that way.
Right.
I wasn't thinking about wondering what my mom or dad are doing. I didn't think that way.
And I think as dads, right? Because I have two kids next week who are leaving to college, right?
Yeah.
Today's my son's 21st birthday. My daughter just turned 18. And as dads, right? Especially when they're getting ready to go off to college and they're transitioning into being the adults, you're just like, did I do it right? And because we know all the mistakes we've made, we know, all the shortcomings we've had, and like you said, our kids live in that with us, and I really believe there's nothing more special than when you get that type of acknowledgement from the people that you love the most. Not that it goes unseen or unnoticed, but I think there's always this, just like, at least for me, this wondering of,
we have self-doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we've screwed up everything good.
Yep.
We've had it handed to us. We screwed it up.
Yeah.
Right? We got nothing, and we screwed that up.
Yep.
And then we failed again and again and again till finally we got it right.
Right.
And then what do? We keep checking ourselves like, am I going to screw this up?
Yeah.
One of the things my wife said to me is like, we have the best lives. We just have to not screw it up.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at her like, mic drop moment. I'm like, that ends that. You're right. And so I took it personally that I need to not screw it up.
Right.
Because this is in my hands.
Yep. I was actually listening to an audiobook on the way here called Profit First. And he was talking about, literally as I was pulling up, he's like, once you get it all together, how do you not screw it up? Right? How do you, once everything is kind of put in place, how do you not screw it up? And it's like you said, like that needs to be something that we're constantly thinking about, because if anybody can screw it up, it would be us, right?
Yeah.
But it's also us that will keep it from not screwing up as well.
Yeah. It's funny because we need reminders.
Yeah.
Right? We need self-checks. I literally, the only thing I could ever think of that was powerful enough in my mind to me was this little stone that I keep in my pocket, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can see it's broken. It's broken half. If you really look at the bottom, I've rubbed this thing so many times for so many years, 17, that there's a dent in the bottom of a rock because I've worked it so hard to remind myself, right? This was in my daughter's room. So when she went to heaven, and eventually, you go through her things, and that's a difficult day. But this was one of her little things sitting on her nightstand. So this became something that's going to stay with me in my pocket. You will never find me without it unless I'm in the pool.
Yeah.
It's the only time I don't have it because I never want it to get lost in the water.
Yeah.
So if I'm out on land, it's in my pocket. And it's to remind me to be humble.
Yeah.
Be humble, be kind, right?
Yeah.
Dad, stay humble, stay kind.
Yeah.
And that's the message I get from her is you have this now.
Yeah.
Life is really good right now.
Yeah.
Make it good for other people.
Yep.
This reminds me to do that and to not screw it up. So this is my don't screw it up stone.
I appreciate you sharing that with me because I never knew that. But it makes sense why you're such a giver and why you serve so many people and really are genuine about it,
I don't want it to go away.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that guy anymore. I was that guy before, and I wasn't a great guy. And, not that I was ever a really horrible bad guy. And I mean, some people may argue that, but it's a small handful. and I can live with that. And it doesn't mean that it's not my fault, and it doesn't mean I didn't screw it up.
And I think life is just a journey, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I look back at my life, and there were people along the way who unfortunately experienced the part of me that was growing, right? Mm-hmm. The part of me
good way to put that.
Yeah, that had to learn from different experiences, letting people down, making mistakes, you know, but that was all a learning process, and it's all a part of God's plan. You know what I mean? To like we're on this journey, and we can either, and here's the choice, right? Which we've both made, is you can either stay that way, or you can learn as you grow. And you know, unfortunately, people experience the best and worst of us.
Sure. It's very rare you're ever going to find anybody who doesn't say, well, if you'd rather be bad or you'd rather be good. Well, they all say they'd rather be good. Everybody in jail says it. Right.
Right.
I'd rather be good. Well, then choose to be good.
Absolutely. And it's a daily choice.
Any day is the right day to start doing it right. You know, when you brought up, you know, God's plan, and I live by it. I really do. And I don't know that God needed to. Apparently he did. I didn't think he needed to really hit me in the gut like that, knock the wind out of me, to give me something to finally show you, hey, right? So I look at it, you know, stuff was a gift. Yeah. That was a gift that he gave me. And, you know, when I wrote that book, you know, I talk about it, it's a gift.
Yeah.
And I realized the gift.
Yeah.
It wasn't that, you know, he's taking her. No, he had a much bigger plan for her. Mm-hmm. And I always say to this day, you know, and I've said it 1,000 times, if you want to make God laugh at you, just go tell him your plan. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And our plan never works out the way we think it should, but it always works out the way it's supposed to.
It does. And I don't want to get all biblical, but think about it. We needed a Judas.
Yeah.
How'd you like to be him?
Right.
But then again, you have to think, wait a minute. God needed Judas and had a plan for Judas in order to show us something.
Yep.
Wow. Right?
That is a wow.
Hated person in the history of the world.
Right, yeah.
Right? Did the most horrific sin.
Right.
Worse than Adam and Eve biting an apple.
Right.
Think about it, right?
Yeah.
So, because that was the plan.
Right.
And I don't want to have to be that to get the message.
Right, no.
How about I got you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I am listening. So when people say to me, like, you know, why do you think God talks to you? I go, oh, God, he's screaming at me all the time. You just got to listen, man.
Right.
Pay attention.
Yeah, we can either choose to humble ourselves or he can humble us. And I'd rather humble myself than be humbled.
Yeah, I think both of us have had journeys where God's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and give you a little backhand.
Yeah.
Kind of like a good parent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying beat your kids. What I'm saying is, though, give them the direction that they need, even when they don't want to hear it.
100%.
Right? And they cannot talk to you. They can cut you out if they want to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's giving them the right thing, then it's still the right thing to do. As painful as it is for me, you know, it's still the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I always think of it that way. Do I know? Like, we know right from wrong.
Right.
Even when we choose to do it, right? My wife's one of her favorite lines with our kids, and this episode's going in a whole different family direction. But with our kids, is she says, why am I always the one that they come to get permission to do the wrong thing?
Right.
I said, because you're mom.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
100%.
They want mom to tell them it's okay to do the wrong thing. She's like, I'm never going to tell them it's okay to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And so she's like, you're the one who tells them to do the wrong things. I go, well, I just tell them there's workarounds, you know?
Yeah.
And in life, you know, we sometimes have to pivot and we have to work around things. But typically, the thing you're working around is something you created.
Right.
Right. And we always want to blame someone else because it's simple and it's easy that way. But then we don't have to take responsibility.
Absolutely.
Once you own everything, I believe everything bad that's ever happened to me is clearly my fault.
Right. Me too.
And every success, you know, isn't me, right? It's God that's giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And he's asking me, can you choose the right road? How many freaking forks do I got to put in front of you till you finally go the right way?
Right.
Like, can you please just go to the right?
Right.
Quit going left.
Yep.
Because I get lost when I go left.
Yeah.
And I make bad decisions when I go left. And when you're under a lot of stress, you make really horrible decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because you're very short-sighted. When you're looking at a bigger picture,
mm-hmm.
the truth is typically painful.
Yeah.
The truth is typically hard.
And we want to avoid that at all costs.
You bet. And the truth will set you free. The truth will get you where you want to go.
It will. And a lot of times we want to avoid the hardship, right? Because as human beings, we don't like the hardship, but yet, you know, the Bible says to count it all joy when we go through those hard times, because in those hard times, it's working us to be more mature, more wise, and all of that. I love it, man. But you had a journey, right? And not just a journey in life, but a journey in real estate. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about that because I want to get back to the book and even the TV show and all of those things, but how it really led up to that. And so, you're obviously in real estate. You're doing a lot of great things in real estate. Obviously, you're here at EXP crushing it, but it didn't start there.
No.
How did you get introduced to the industry? Because I know everybody gets into the industry, never really planned. It kind of just happens, and then it takes a plan of itself. And so how were you introduced to this industry?
All right. I can do the 4-hour story. I can do the 4-second story. It's really simple.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, we blame, right? So I blame Stephanie, my daughter, Steph, because I was a regional vice president at Honeywell.
Yeah.
I was a corporate guy. I was never getting into real estate. That wasn't even on my radar.
Right. And it's never on anybody's radar, really. Everybody I interview, like, nope, didn't plan on getting in real estate, but then bam, it happens.
How many college degrees are people that make a lot of money in real estate? They didn't go to college for real estate, right?
Nope.
That's not how it worked. But what ended up happening was she got sick, so then I had to resign from my job, and then I didn't have any money, and I was broke, and I went, on this crusade to try to find some miracle cure for her. So we really focused on doing that. And at the end of the day, when we were focusing on that, you start really going through your struggles, because when you, in this world, if you don't have money, life gets really difficult. Right. It's hard. So if you've made a good living and you're doing fine, you're doing well, and you're doing great for your family, and I had one kid in college, and I had another one getting close to graduating. I got one that's sick that's going to go to heaven. I got 2 younger ones, and you're trying to keep it all together, and you have no money. It's really hard. So things got really bad. These guys from this charity showed up at my house this day, and we talked, and they wanted to, hey, can we pay a bill? I'm like, I ain't gonna fix any problems. Right. We're so far behind. We're so bad. We're losing everything. Yeah. And I'm just trying to, figure it out. And then he asked me, well, how can we help you? I said, I need a miracle job. And he's like, what's a miracle job? I said, a miracle job is a job that I could sell anything. I know how to sell. Right. It's got to be a big ticket. I have a huge commission. If I get a phone call that says, hey, you got to get on a plane and be at St. Jude tomorrow, I got to leave right now. I got to be able to walk out the door. I got to be gone for 2 days, 2 weeks, 6 weeks at a time. Yeah. And when I come back, welcome me with open arms. But, make sure you do that too. Pay me while I'm gone, okay? Yeah. Could you do that for me? You do that. That's a miracle job.
Miracle job.
Yeah. Yep. And the next day, the guy called me and said, you take a phone call? I said, yeah. And his son called me, who was the vice president of sales for Pulte Homes. So his name was Dave Belchazak. Dave offered me a job because I had lived in a Pulte home. So we had already gone through the Pulte experience. Yeah. So we lived in a Pulte home. We built a construction home. And he's like, I want you to sell the houses that you live in. Because when he first said, I want you to come work for me, I'm like, you're a builder? Dude, I'm not good with a hammer. And I'll break my thumbs. And he's like, no, sell them. Yeah. And it literally, I was like completely in a fog. And he was like, yeah, I want you to sell them for me. And I'm like, oh, sell houses? Yeah, I guess I could probably do that. Yeah. Yeah, no big deal. And then, obviously I got into real estate the next day is when I started.
That's awesome.
That's really what took me on the journey and got me to real estate. And again, it was God's plan on mine. I had no idea this was going to come to me. And also I always say I didn't find real estate, it found me. And my daughter slammed it in my face. Like, okay, I guess that's what we'll be doing.
It always finds us, because I had no plan on getting into real estate either. And literally every guest I've ever interviewed on the show, nobody said, man, when I was growing up, I just wanted to be a real estate agent.
If I could be that. Yeah.
Never. Not one person. And so how long were you with Pulte, and then what happened after that? I'd love to hear how you got to here.
2004. Yeah. I'm at Pulte. Well, at the end of 2007, market crashes. Yeah. Right? So here, life is finally good. We're back on our feet. I actually have another new house now. And like, oh my God, I actually, we have a roof over our head. Yep. Things are not easy, but they're coming together. Yep. We're getting through this struggle. And in 2007, the same time, market crashed. I always said Steph did that too, because that was God's thing, because that's when she went to heaven, right? So today, in
2007, wow.
Yeah, so that's when that happened. And so the market crashes and everybody's in panic mode. I'm like, it ain't that bad.
Right.
I just had a really bad.
Oh yeah. Once you experience, I don't think anything's worse than that.
It's not,
because once you experience
the most difficult thing.
Yeah. So
now I'm in this conundrum of, oh my gosh, nobody can sell houses. People are upside down. The market is crashing. Remember in Detroit, Nevada, and Arizona were the 3 areas that went down the fastest and quickest in the whole country. So it was happening to us faster than anybody else. So you didn't have anything to, there's no barometer. There's nothing to measure you against. It was just here, oh my God, it's just getting bad. And people are freaking out. And one of the guys that had worked for Pulte was a young guy, and he was like 26 years old or something. And he said, hey, I got an idea that maybe could help these people. And he had gone, when the market was crashing, we just started cutting agents. So there was 51 of them. I was the 51st agent there at the time. Yeah. And we got down, there was only 8 of us left.
Oh, wow.
And so one of the guys that was in there who got cut early, he went to go work for a guaranteed buyout guy and in Plymouth. Yeah. So That guy had this company called Marketplace Homes, and he was doing guaranteed buyouts. Well, that ended because the market is just crashing. So he was working there, and we had 31 deals or 32 deals on the books that had that program attached to them. Well, they all fell apart. So that's $14+ million in real estate sales that are falling apart.
Sheesh.
And they're like, we need these deals to close. So then, of course, Curt, you've got to make this happen. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, dude, we got to figure this out. We got to make this happen. You got to be able to buy these houses. He's like, dude, he's out. He's offered me the company. I'm going to buy the company. Why don't you buy it with me? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, why don't we do this together? I said, do what? You got a company that can't buy any houses. Like, what's to do?
Yeah.
And he said, what if we rented them? I said, well, explain this to me. So he throws this idea at me, and he's like, I don't know how to do it, but I think it's a good idea. If we could do it, what do you think? So we played around with it for about 2 weeks, and he had talked to another builder, and he goes, they're interested. I mean, is there a way to make this happen? So we sat down, and we literally drew it out. And I said, you know what? From my Honeywell days, I think I know how to do this. I think we can make this happen. So what we did was we tried to solve a problem, right? The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make.
Right.
Well, we had a big problem. And what we did was we took the people who were losing their houses, who had jobs. So, they had a $1,500 a month payment, and their payment went to $2,700, right? They had the interest only deals, and those were all bad. So when that happened, these people are not renters. These are homeowners. These are families. These are people with jobs. They're making good money, but they can't afford their payment anymore. Now they're losing their houses, and their credit's jacked and everything. So we ran a program called Second Lease on Life. So we took those people who were losing their house and said, hey, instead of losing your dignity, your respect, and everything else, why don't we take you from being all ashamed, and let's move you from this house to another house, maybe in the same sub, maybe nearby, with the same payment you had before, because there was millions of people that had regular loans that weren't interest-only loans.
Right.
But they were in a position where they were stuck. They needed to move. So we could unstick the stuck.
Yeah.
So those were our ads.
Yeah.
We did the radio ads.
Unstick the stuck. I like that.
Yeah. So if you're stuck, we've got you.
Yep.
We'll help you buy a new house and move up like you're supposed to, because these people needed a bigger house.
Yep.
They were having more kids. This wasn't something that was just an idea. There was a need. They needed to buy bigger houses. So we got them to buy with our partner builders. Yep. So now builders are going out of business. I'm keeping them in business. So I have 5 builders per market. We ended up in 17 states, 21 markets.
Wow.
And that's what we ended up as at the height of our program. So we did this across the country. And what we were able to do is take the people losing their houses, put them in these other people's houses who were stuck. We unstuck them, put them into a new house with a builder partner. So as long as they bought one of the new construction homes, kept the builders in business, these people were buying the houses with them. They had to qualify to hold their existing house. So no more adding to the problem. Keep your house. Don't dump it.
Right.
Keep your house. Buy the new house. Go move into it. You still own this one, but we're going to put this person in it who's technically leasing it. But I gave them a lease option. So now you're buying a new house.
Right.
Because these are people that are not renters.
Right.
So we had a phenomenal program.
Wow.
So I ran radio ads on both. That's how I met Mark Z.
Nice.
So what ended up happening, I took his radio spots.
Yeah.
So then he called me one day because he realized I'm on all his radio spots.
Right,
and he's like, all right, I don't know you, dude, but you're doing something really cool. I've got a property management company. I'm the biggest game in town in real estate.
Yep.
How are you doing this? I mean, think about this. I was personally selling about 10 to 12 houses a day.
Wow.
Over the phone.
Holy cow.
I just went nonstop. I was working literally 12, 14-hour days, just on the phone, 8 a.m. until like 10 o'clock at night, just banging out.
Wow.
Each call was about an hour, maybe 45 minutes to an
Yeah.
hour. And my wife would literally, I'm just on the phone all day. My kids were like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm like, sold another one, sold another one, sold another one.
Sliding dinner across the desk.
And my wife would literally have, or my kids would, here, Daddy, here's a plate. And I'm like, thanks, honey. I'm trying to scarf it down between calls. And that's how we live. But we got back on our feet really quickly because
when you're down, you got to do whatever it takes.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And it just came together. So it was not my idea. I just knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And I crushed it.
Yeah.
And we did amazing. And we helped so many people. We helped builders. We helped the people who were stuck. And we helped the people that were losing their houses.
Yeah.
So we solved 3 problems for people. We sold a little over 4,000 homes in 3 years,
Sheesh.
3.5 years.
Wow.
And we were doing some really great stuff. So
That's
it was
amazing.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Did an article in Builder Magazine about us, calling us geniuses.
I remember hearing about you guys back then because I was in mortgages from 05 to 09, then did some short sales and loan modifications from 9 to 13. And then that's when I got into real estate and joined Jeff's team.
Yeah.
And so you met Mark Z through
Yeah, he called me up.
And then, so how did you guys end up working together?
So I kind of laughed when he called, because he called and my secretary, her receptionist, she says, "Hey, Curt, you got to call online too." Some guy calls himself the real estate guy and said his name is Mark Z, the real estate guy. And she's laughing, and I'm like, "Oh, no kidding." And she's like, "That's like a real person?" I'm like, Yeah, he's the real estate guy. And I said, "Okay, let me grab it." So I answered, "Hi, this is Curt." And he's like, "Curt, Mark Z, the real estate guy." And I laughed. And he's like, "Why are you laughing?" I go, "Because you actually call yourself the real estate guy. It's in your," he goes, "It's just naturally what comes out when when I say it." So it was pretty funny. And so we started talking. He just says, "Hey, man, I want to pick your brain. You guys are doing something that I'd love to be able to do. I can't figure out what you're doing, and you guys are killing it, and we're all dying. So can I buy you lunch and meet with you?" So we ended up having breakfast, and that's the first time I met him. And I knew who he was. I'd never met him.
Yeah.
And you hear all these things, right? He's a monster. He's the devil. He's all these horrible things. Like Jeff, he's the monster. Yeah. He's the devil. He's all these horrible things. Anybody who's really at the top of the game.
Oh yeah, people are gonna.
There's haters.
Yeah.
There's haters.
A ton of them.
And so I realized now, right? I have some haters, and it's like, I must be something, right? So you're not anybody until people start hating on you.
Yep.
And but you have a massive following of good people.
Right.
So
so
when I met him, I took him at face value. I don't know, and he wanted to meet, and I took it as a heck of a compliment.
Right.
It's kind of like the same thing when we call agents. They're like, "Are you trying to recruit me?" Well, if I am, then that would be the best compliment I could give you.
Right.
Because I actually want to work with you.
Yeah.
And I chose to call you. So think of it that way. And people get freaking wigged out about it. It's like you started at a brokerage somewhere because somebody recruited you.
Right, exactly.
And then if you're building something, you need to go recruit people.
Right.
Right? Because we don't need more money in our lives. We need more people.
We need more people.
And that's who opens the doors to the next door, to the next door. It's people. Yep. It's not money. It's people. Money comes.
Money comes.
Right? Money follows the path of people.
Yep.
Right? Just get better people, and you'll find yourself making more money.
Absolutely.
So, and I understood that. I learned that. My dad taught me that when I was a kid. Surround yourself by good people, you're going to be a good person. You surround yourself by crappy people, you're going to be a crappy person.
Yep.
And if you want to have success, then go hang out with people way more successful than you, not at your level where you're the big dog.
Right.
And I talk to agents all the time who they're the biggest dog in their pond, and they're like, "Yeah, I like it here. I'm great." Okay, so you're ego driven.
Right.
Got it. Then this isn't going to happen. You're never going to grow.
Right.
Well, I like where I'm at. I'm doing it. It's not that you don't like where you're at. I've liked every place I was at. That's why I was there.
Yeah.
I liked it until I didn't. But a lot of them, I didn't leave because I didn't like it.
Right.
I left because I saw a better opportunity.
To grow. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to go to the next level.
Yep.
And if I stayed where I was, I kept getting the same results. Then I knew what I was going to get, and I knew how far I could only go.
Absolutely.
You need to be open-minded to looking at other things. And you look at things, and I looked at so many things that I didn't do.
Right.
In the past I didn't take, but I found the ones that I felt more comfortable taking.
Absolutely.
And they don't always all work out. And
Right.
when they don't, well, the easy thing is to go backwards. And the funny thing is, I never left a job and went back to a job I had before.
Right.
Because I went to a job that gave me an opportunity, and it didn't work out, but other opportunities were there too. I just picked a different one to try that instead.
And that one led you to the next one.
Always.
Yep.
Because it's people. It's not the job.
Right.
And I think we get hung up on, well, I don't want to work for that brand or that name, or I don't want to work there. I don't want. Stop.
I think because a lot of times
doors.
people think that if I, like, it's forever. No, it's just a season. It's just a step in the direction that you're going.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
100%. It really is. So that's how I met Mark.
Yeah.
And
was he already with EXP at that time?
No,
so he was still at KW.
He was at Keller Williams.
Okay.
He was a big team, and
Yep.
him and Jeff and Perna. These guys had the biggest teams.
Yep.
And so everybody knew who they were in the industry. You knew who they were. And Mark was one of the best marketers out there. I mean, he had the billboards, he had the radio, he had the TV. His kids, It was like, you know this guy, even when you don't know, you know this guy. So when I was flattered that he wanted to pick my brand, I'm like, the heck am I going to teach this guy? This guy's top of the food chain.
Yep.
And realized I had a lot to offer. And then we were like complete opposites of each other.
Right.
We both had the same vision. We both saw the same things, but I just saw the path to it here. He saw the path here. I was always more creative. He was more that soldier. I'm just going to go take the hill, and I'm going to take the next hill. I'm going to take the next hill.
Yep.
And that's how he did it, because he was smarter in real estate than I'll ever be. But I had a different approach.
Yeah.
And I felt if I can resonate with people, the more people,
Yep.
the more money, it's just going to come, and I can help more people.
Yep.
So we had two different approaches, and he's like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but you and I are going to work together one day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, nothing would make me happier. That would be so cool.
That's
right?
awesome.
And that's how it started. So we became friends. And we kept talking, and then I went down the path of the marketplace homes thing, and we kind of hit its stride.
Yep.
Dan Gilbert offered us $5 million to get 30% of the company. He wanted us to bring it into Quicken at the time, and make it the real estate arm. He had in-house realty, and he wanted that to be the real crux of blowing this thing out nationwide. What a really cool guy. It was one of the best 6 months periods of my life of learning.
Yeah.
That guy is so wicked smart.
Yeah.
So over the top. The Rockbridge Group, these guys are top, right? They know what they're doing.
Danny G.
Yeah. Yeah. And working with those guys was an experience, an education. I mean, it was like going to college for 4 years.
Yeah.
Those 6 months were intense.
I bet.
And they showed you all the things you were doing wrong. They showed you how to do it right. And I was just like, wow, I get this. And I could see it. And so it came to the day where we were actually signing the deal with him. And then Mike was my partner of the company. He kind of wigged out that day, and he freaked, and he was like, I'm giving up my power to my company, and I'm doing these things. And he was just young. And we say young and dumb.
Yep.
And he hadn't learned a good lesson yet.
Wow.
And so he screwed the deal up at the closing table. And
I bet you he regrets that now.
Yeah, I thought that was probably the closest I came to killing someone. I was going to kill him. I was like, I am going to choke you.
Oh, yeah, I'll bet.
And it was like being on Shark Tank before Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And it was like, you are screwing up the best opportunity we're ever going to find. Like, we're going to partner with Dan. So that falls apart.
But again, like you said.
That's exactly right. Yep. So I didn't see it at the time that that was the right thing, because my path wasn't going to be there.
Right.
I wonder, wow, what would have happened? Well, this wouldn't have happened. That's a fact.
And you and I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
We would not. And I look at that, and I can say, Dan Gilbert, what a great guy. Man, this guy was amazing. And he saw where we screwed up a few things. And he even corrected one of the contracts we had. So just a shout out to him. Mm-hmm. He gave us back our contract. He said, if you sign this with me, he goes, you left a loophole right here for me to literally leverage and take over your company one day if I want to.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? And he goes, yeah, this could cause this, which would mean this. And then I would do this. And as a good businessman, I would do that.
Wow.
So don't ever let me do that to you.
Wow.
And we were like, what? And he goes, yeah, I don't want to take over your stuff, guys. So don't put me in a position to do that.
Wow.
Fix this. And he had his attorneys rewrite it and say, here, go take it to your attorneys, let them go through it, make sure it's language you like, but don't ever do this. This leaves you open.
Wow.
And I was like, you're a stand-up dude. And he goes, no, I want to work with you guys. I don't want to take you. I want to work with you. And I was like, wow. So again, learned a lot about people, integrity, things like that. So you start learning, because if he was smart, in a bad business sense, he wouldn't have said anything. Yeah. And then if this all happens and later on he wants to just take it, he can do it. He knew that. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, what a great lesson. And I always roll back to that of, am I following, am I covering all bases? Am I making sure this is right? Am I doing the right things? So
that's good.
Great lessons there.
Yeah.
And so Mark and I stayed friends, and he's like, the deal fell apart. How did that happen? So I was really bouncing things off of him and kind of using him, if you will, as a mentor of things I was doing. So then I partnered with one of my builders that I had been doing all this business with, and then we decided to open a brokerage because that made sense. And I'm going to have my own brokerage, sell franchises, and do this whole thing. So we started that. Turned out the builder partner was not the right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his vision of what he wanted was really about him, and it wasn't about us.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Yep.
You could say he's a good guy, say he was a bad guy. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
He's just who he is.
Yeah.
And he showed who he was. And I was like, okay, you're not a fit for me.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I'm this, and I'm going to be this, because I have this little stone in my pocket that tells me I have to do the right things, or else I'm going to be a really bad guy. So I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
And I did. And we parted ways.
Yeah.
And I talked to Mark through the whole thing. I tried to get Mark to buy one of the franchises.
Yeah.
And he sat and looked at it all. We talked about it. He's like, I think I'm going to go on my own. And then I'm having this day of reckoning of, I'm parting with this partnership in this brokerage. I'm out.
Yeah.
And when that happened, literally that same day, again, God speaks, pay attention.
Yep.
And Mark calls me, and he literally, I see it's Mark, and I'm like, I am having a horrific day. And I answer the phone. Hey bro, what's happening? He goes, I got it. I got to see you tomorrow. Whatever you got, clear your schedule. Meet me in my office 11 o'clock. I got it. I figured it out. And I knew what that meant. that he figured out for how us to work together.
Yeah.
And I knew that's what it meant because he had tried to get me to, to come work on his team and run his team and do that kind of stuff. I'm like, I can't work for you, dude. I have my own thing.
Yeah.
And why don't you come and let's do a brokerage together? And he's like, I don't want to own a brokerage. I don't want to do that. So we went through this whole thing. And he called me that day. I was at his office the next morning.
Yep.
And we got on a conference call with Brent Gove, Curtis Johnson, DM Beer, Jay Kinder, Mark, myself. And it was the most amazing 30-minute phone call on real estate. And I knew who a couple of guys were. I didn't know who some of them were. Mark explained to me who they were. And I'm like, these are some of the biggest ballers in real estate across the country.
Yep.
None of them were from Michigan. And these are guys he masterminded with, knew these guys. And he's like, bro, you got to see this. This is insane. I haven't slept for days.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
We get on the call, and I thought, right, it's a real estate call. So it's like me and Justin talking objections and overcoming objections and like, let's sell more real estate and close another deal. Oh, no. These guys were talking 30 minutes about how you build your business in real estate.
Yeah.
They didn't talk a single thing about how to close another deal, get another lockbox, list the property.
Yeah.
That was like, they're like, please, no, this is how you build and how you accumulate wealth and how you build for other people and how you help others have the same opportunity. I was so blown away. I'm like, this is the greatest 30 minutes of my life. This is insane.
Yeah.
And in business. And I was like, wow. And we hung up the phone and I started pacing in Mark's office and he's sitting like you and he's laughing at me. And I'm like, bro, okay. It's the, and my hands are freaking flying. I think I should have been Italian. My hands are flying and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm writing on his whiteboard. He's like, what's with you on these whiteboards? I'm like, I love the whiteboards.
Yeah.
I'm writing on my whiteboards. And I'm mapping it out. And we're going to do it. And here's what we're going to have. And he's just laughing. And he goes, look at you. He goes, bro, I knew this was it.
Yep.
He goes, we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we are doing this.
Yeah.
Done. And he's like, well, when can we start? I said, Monday. And he's like, well, how are we going to do it? I said, I don't know. I'm going to run your team at first. And you're going to pay me.
Yep.
And we'll figure that out.
Yep.
And let's just do this. This is exactly it. I said, so you got to pay me to run your team so I can get some money in my pocket to pay my bills.
Yep.
And we're going to build this thing and we're going to build it really fast. We're going to build it bigger, badder, stronger, than faster than anybody in the history of the world. And I'm like, dude, we are going to be the best. We're going to help so many people. We're going to give people opportunities they've never seen. If they're going to be able to work with us.
Yep.
And I was so jacked. And Mark was just laughing. You just saw his beam and smile and his chest out to ear. He's like, this is going to be good. And I said, no, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Good is so small. It's going to be great. And I literally felt it through my body. And I know this sounds hokey, but it was like, okay. And I felt my daughter, man, just wrap her little angel wings around me like, I got you, Dad.
Oh, that's amazing.
You're going to like this one. And I could feel it. Yeah. And it's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
So then, of course, I go home, tell my wife, oh, my God, you're not going to believe this. And she's like, don't you dare tell me that you're changing jobs or something crazy. I'm like, we're out. Yeah. We got it. And she's like, no, absolutely not. We are not. No. Curt, do you understand? We finally are back on our feet and life is good again. And like, oh my God, we've gone through the worst. I'm like, honey, I got you.
Yeah.
I got this. This is going to be amazing.
Yep.
We're starting back at zero. No. I'm like, yes. And she's like, no. I'm like, yes. So we had to go through that.
Yeah.
And she trusts me as much as she hated it, but she trusted me.
Yep.
And then we built this thing at EXP because I could literally do what I'm great at. I could just help others. And if I really do it the right way, for real, we could build the greatest thing ever. And financially, we're going to get rewarded in the same way because I don't need more money, any more people.
Right.
And the money follows. It's just there.
Yeah.
Make more money than I ever made in my life.
Yep.
We're financially in a great place because I have to just keep helping other people. And the money keeps pouring in.
Yeah.
But just help another person.
Yeah.
So every day I wake up thinking, okay, who are the people that really want me to, and you got to remember this too. You can't help everyone.
Right.
You can only help the ones that are swimming towards your boat.
Yep.
I can't go chase them.
Right.
And I tell people that, look, I want to help you. I want to do this. Oh, Curt, I need you to help me. If you'll do this with you, I will. But here's how it works.
Right.
You have to plug in.
Right.
And you've got to swim to my boat.
Yep.
Oh, it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And then they start swimming away. And you're like, no, what are you doing? And they're like, you're not helping me. I'm like, I'm over here.
Right.
Come here. I will help you. This is what we'll do.
Yeah.
So every day, that's what I do. My schedule, and I live by my schedule now, which we kind of joked about before the show. About I didn't live off a schedule, and now I literally live 100% off.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's how I schedule everybody, and I can help more people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we scale. And once you learn how to scale, it's a leverage. And Mark told me the first day, he said, "I'm going to teach you how to leverage." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I know how to leverage." And he's like, "You have no idea how to leverage. I'm going to show you how to leverage." And he did.
Yeah.
And I can't thank him enough because once he taught me to really, really, really leverage. then it was like, oh, well, here's how you scale. Oh my God, do I have this now?
Yeah.
And then I went back to, what did I learn from Dan Gilbert? What did I learn from my days at Pulte Homes and Bill Pulte? And I had a good relationship with Bill Pulte.
Yep.
And then I have this relationship, for a period of time with Dan Gilbert. Then I have this relationship with Mark. And I'm like, these people are really teaching me the things that it's like putting the pieces together.
Yep.
Right? You've got knowledge. You got a bunch of it. My wife always says I have so much senseless knowledge in my head. It's unreal. She's like, can you get rid of some of that crap? I'm like, no, because at some point I got to plug it in somewhere.
Yeah.
When you start putting the pieces together, it's a puzzle.
Yep.
And when you start seeing it, you're like, oh God. Once you have the vision,
Yep.
right? It's like a target.
Yep.
I can't shoot a target that I can't see.
Right.
But if I can see it, I'll master it and I'll nail it.
Yeah.
It's like you.
Yeah, you'll figure out a way.
We're going to see the bullseye.
Yep.
To you and I, the bullseye becomes this freaking big.
Yep.
Because, I got locked
Yeah.
in. I am so locked. It's this big. I can't miss.
Right.
And now there's a system and a process in place. And if you, build a system,
Yep.
trust the process,
Yep.
stay in it, quit trying to think you're smart. As long as I don't think I'm the smartest guy,
Right.
as long as I don't ever go in the room where I am the smartest guy,
Right.
I constantly make sure I am in rooms where I'm the dumbest guy.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how everything comes together. I hang out with you because you're a hell of a lot smarter than me, right?
I beg to differ, Curt. You're the man.
We know a little bit.
Yeah.
But if we can share it, you're going to make me stronger, better, faster, right? Chuck Fazio.
Oh, man.
What an amazing man, right?
Yeah.
I love this guy. I
Yeah.
really do. And something he always said, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yep.
And he gets biblical on you.
Yep.
And he's so spot on. I got little chills just
Yep.
saying it, right?
Yep.
So I found a relationship with this guy, and this guy's been amazing to me. He's helped me in so many ways. And he asked me, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to make $1 million a year."
Yeah.
And he goes, "For how long?" I'm like, "Well, forever." He's like, "No, for a short time. Then you make 2.
Yeah.
And then we'll make 3. Then we'll make 4. What are you thinking? We got to build this thing." And I'm
Chuck's
like,
the best.
"Okay, you know."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I just got to get here." And he's like, "Then do what I tell you to do."
Yep.
I said, "You're the man." And he goes, "Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
Stop focusing on any money.
Yeah.
You don't need to focus on the $1 million. You got to focus on the people.
Yeah.
Now you'll learn how to make some money."
Yeah.
And he's all Italian, right? And he's got that, that old mafioso thing.
Yep.
But he was so right.
Yep.
And his thing is cut out the crap. Just stay
Yep.
focused right here. Stay
Yep.
here. Stay here.
Yep.
And if you stay on track and you don't get distracted by shiny, somebody says squirrel, man. I'm like, squirrel? Where's squirrel?
Yep.
Where? Right?
Me too.
I got shiny object syndrome
Yep.
big time. But a lot of us do.
Yep.
But that's what makes us who we are.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking at different things and we see things that a lot of people don't see. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying I'm smarter, not saying I'm better. I just notice a lot of things.
Yeah.
And my life's path
Yep.
has taught me
Yeah.
to look to your left, look to your right, but stay walking forward.
Stay the course.
Don't go to the right, don't go to the left. Just take a look at what's there. Sometimes you reach and grab it and pull it with you.
Yep.
And if I could grab these people and pull them with me and you become magnetic, you really have something you can really, 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 really help people.
I love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of magnetic, this path that you just described has recently opened up some opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the book and let's talk about the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you saw where my focus was. Just
Yep.
go do this.
Just
and
go out
do
and
as
serve
these
and make it
others-
happen.
And I was literally doing what these others were telling me to do.
Yep.
Why? Because they had the success already.
Yep.
They were at the level I was trying to get to.
Yep.
And I realized again and again and again and again, if I want to be at that level, I have got to be surrounded by the ones that are at that level, not the ones
Yeah.
who want to be at that level.
Right.
I can tell them, here, lock arms with me and let's go.
Yeah.
You're part of the army, right? You're my tribe. Let's do this together.
Yep.
Way more fun, but let's follow the lead. And then when they start telling you, well, I want to go, then you can go, but
Yep.
you're going by yourself. You're not going together. You go together, we're going to get there.
Absolutely.
And the ones that have fallen off, I can't, right? They're swimming away from the boat. I can't save them.
Yep.
But I can just follow the other people's lead. It's not about me.
Right.
I'm not a genius by any stretch, but these people have learned it. They've knocked it out of the park. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So you get in those rooms. Well, those rooms start to introduce more people in those rooms
Yep.
who you didn't know.
Yep.
Next thing I know, I get this guy reaching out to me. Hey, we love your story. Heard you on a podcast. And
Yeah.
I was literally on, Jimmy Nelson's podcast. And they said, man, we heard this story about you. Man, you had a really crazy story. And you called real estate a miracle job. And it goes to the story I told at the beginning. And I said, yeah, it's 100% been a miracle job for me. It's
Yeah.
been insane. And he's like, that's a great thing. We're doing a show called My Story. And, everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
But your story's kind of interesting. And what an interesting path. And you accidentally fell into real estate and your daughter did this. And you had this tragedy that turned into this miracle, which was this gift. And like, dude, I love the way you present this thing. Could you, do this story? So my wife had talked to them 37 times as me. They
Yeah.
thought they were talking to me. They were actually
Yeah.
talking to my wife
Yep.
via, the
Yep.
computer. And it was really funny. And the next thing you know, she's like, hey, by the way, tomorrow we're going to go meet these guys and you're going to be on a TV show called My Story. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you're going to do this.
Yeah.
I checked it out. It's real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Like, what do you mean? And so then she tells me and I'm like, what did you get me into? Next day we meet them and they're like, dude, you're going to be great. So we do it. We do the show. It's called My Story. It was on Amazon.
Yep.
Came out. We filmed it last year. It came out middle of this year.
Yep.
I think in April. And it was really kind of cool. And it just, they take your 2-hour story and they put it into like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And, it's uncut. And it came out really, really great. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
I was really nervous.
Yeah.
Because they just basically there's a TV camera here, there's a TV camera here.
Yep.
You're sitting in a high chair way up, and the person, this woman, has got a headset on, and she's talking to me, and just asking me questions. Well, she's behind this camera, and all I can see is this. Right, all I see is just her eyes. That's all I can see, and the lights are really bright, and you could just see her, and she's like, "Just talk to me." You keep talking to me. So you're always talking here.
Yep.
She's asking questions, and she's asking all these random questions, and you're just answering. Similar to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I find myself comfortable in that setting. I'm okay with it. I can talk.
Yep.
It's one of the things God decided. I have a massive voice to talk, so apparently it makes me talk a lot. I have a lot of words. Angela Fazio always says, you have a lot of words. And I don't run out of words. So
that's awesome.
So we did that, and then they edit it. And it wasn't in succession of the questions they asked.
Yeah,
they
just put it together. The best way.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
So your engineers and producers, right?
Yeah,
they can make you look really good.
Oh, they can.
So I always said, well, they made me look pretty good on this.
Yeah.
And they did great. My wife was really proud of it, and I think that was my barometer of what it was. So when we did the airing of the show, it's like a movie coming out, a movie premiere. So we did a premiere. We had my wife set up this huge, big viewing party. We had about 100 and some people there.
Yep.
And it was really cool, and I had got to see it, the final version, right before we did it for everybody. And I liked it, but I was like, I don't know what other people are going to think. So you're really nervous about it.
Yeah.
And she had this party and all these people, and every person that I had mentioned in the story, there was a handful of people, she had them at the preview, the viewing of it.
That's so awesome.
And I was like, this is so cool. So we really had this great event. My wife put on this phenomenal event, made me really feel pretty special, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, my kids hadn't seen it. My dad hadn't seen it. And I talk about them.
Yeah.
And I was really watching the show. I wasn't watching it. I was watching them watching it.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was over, the first thing I asked them was like, you guys okay with this?
Yeah.
Because I told my story, but that's my version of it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, these people are involved in it. What's their story? And does it match and align with mine?
Yeah.
Because I know how I saw it, but did they see it the same way? So that was kind of my like, oof, and I talk about my dad a lot, and he was sitting there, and he was obviously very proud, but, I was like, you okay with his dad? Because, I talked about a lot of things and life lessons and stuff, you know, and he was like, yeah, I loved it, son. I'm real proud of you. I was like, okay, I did good. I did
That's
good.
awesome.
So that's how the show came out. Then my episode wins an award.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So 3 of the episodes won these awards. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And so we go to Hollywood.
Yep.
Got to go to where the Golden Globes are at the Beverly Hilton. Got to go on the red carpet with my little, and across the stage, they say your name, and the award goes to Curt Shewell for My Story, and I was like, this is like the real deal. I'm on this stage where the Golden Globes are. Like, this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And the guy that was the MC of the show, giving the awards, he was a guy that was, I think, season 4 of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
This guy. So it's, Hollywood's got their things, right?
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I met this dude, and he's kind of cool. And he's, believe it or not, originally from Michigan. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So just funny how that happens. I come down the red carpet, do all the stuff. Then I meet this guy who's like, man, I loved your story because he watched my episode. He goes, dude, man, your empathy is amazing, and you're this leader, and you're all these things. And I'm like, wow, you made me sound pretty good. I like that. Yeah, I like you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I wish you were in our book. What book? He goes, well, with Chris. I'm like, oh, with Chris. Chris who? He's like, Chris Voss. And I was like, Chris Voss? He's like, yeah, Chris, way over there across the room. There's all these 300 people in a room. I'm like, holy shit, that's Chris Voss.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I go meet him. This guy's like, yeah, you want to? Like, yeah. And so we meet. He's like, yeah. And he goes, oh, man. That was you on the, oh, dude, loved it, man. He goes, man, your heart. And he goes, I love your heart, man. The empathy, it just, wow, you're really authentic. He goes, that was genuine. I loved it. He goes, yeah, it kind of moved me. And I'm like, I moved Chris Voss.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he goes, man, he needed to be in our book. And he goes, oh, yeah, I just got finished writing a book called Empathetic Leadership. He goes, oh, you would have been perfect, And I said, well, really? No kidding. The guy goes, yeah, it's going to publishing in 3 days. I'm like, so I got 3 days. And he's like, are you serious? I said, I don't know. I've never written a book. How do you do it? What do I got to do? I can do it. I got words. If you got somebody that'll type them, I can talk.
Yeah.
And they're like, could you really do it? You read a whole chapter in the book? I'm like, I'll write you a chapter. I would love to be on this with you.
Yeah.
Yes. With Chris Voss, kind of one of my heroes. So
Yeah.
I'm like, never split the difference guy. Like,
We'll go to the studio right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that night I went to my room that night and I literally dictated stuff. They got me with one of the writers, and she goes back and forth, and I talk through the whole thing, and she's typing this, she's like a court stenographer, just, 14 billion words a second, and she's just banging it out. And then the next day we spent about 6 hours going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You wrote a book, right? You wrote a massive, awesome book, Unleashed, right? And you're the man. And I really enjoyed that. So I had that in my head, to be honest with you. So you were a driving force involved in that. You don't even know that, and I've never told you that.
Appreciate you, brother.
No, seriously. And I thought about that when I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is how this works. Okay, now I know what Justin did, because
Yeah.
I never knew how you did what you did.
Yep.
And it was really neat. So we banged it out in 2 days. And on the third day, when we had till like 1 o'clock, it's going to publishing at 1 o'clock. And at noon, I'm like, okay, just change. We made like 15 changes. I was like, nope, you're missing the point. No, you're missing this. No, you're missing this. And they were like, I said, you gotta point this out. These are the steps. And I really wanted it that way.
Yeah.
They loved it. When it was done, I changed the last piece at about noon, and at 1 o'clock, it went off to publishing, and I was in the book. And this year, the book came out in April, and in May, we went to Vegas to promote the book. So I was out there with Chris, and so getting to know this guy has been a really fun adventure.
Yeah.
And really love the relationship. And again, it's about people. And the door opened. This guy Nick put me in a room where now I'm in there with Chris. Then I meet Chris, and then I'm writing a book with him, and then we do the book. Well, we went out to pitch the book and kind of give it a boost to see if we could get some sales. And the day I get to Vegas, we're meeting tonight for this dinner and all this stuff. And when we get to the dinner, about 2 hours beforehand, we get this press release. Boom, book hit bestseller. We're like, get out of here.
That's amazing.
We were going to try to push the book.
Yeah.
We hit bestseller.
Already bestseller.
And it was like, oh my God. So I got to hang out with Chris. I got to hang out with Wendy. And we just spent a couple days in Vegas with them. And we had dinner and we started drinking bourbons. And we were, found out he's a good bourbon guy.
Yeah.
He does like his scotch. He's got a 12-year scotch he likes a lot. So I'm like, okay, but he's the bourbon guy.
Yeah.
So we're drinking bourbons. We're doing smoked ones. We're spending a couple days. We're having fun. His girlfriend, Wendy, she's the supermodel. She's in the music industry. She's the one who founded Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
She's super talented. Wendy Starlin, she's amazing. So here, Chris and Wendy and me and my wife, and we're just all hanging out and spending some days with them, and you get a little bond, you get a relationship, you get a friendship.
Yep.
And then he's like, hey, I was listening to you talk about your sales strategies. He goes, it's interesting. And so I broke down his, and I said, yeah, you use an HET method. And he's like, what's that? And I said, you hear him out, empathize, take action. He's like, yeah, it's exactly what I do. I said, oh, no, totally, dude. I've studied you big time. I use a lot of your stuff when I'm coaching and teaching agents. I said, I've been using your stuff for years.
Yeah.
So he was a little flattered, and he's like, oh, cool. Tell me about that. I said, well, I added one piece. So I do the HEAT method, hear him out, empathize, apologize, take action.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, say that again? So we go through it. And anyway, we talk through how it works and the pivot. And I said, it's just, I added one more wrinkle to your style. I just added a piece that really brings them in from the empathy to the apology to the take. He's like, yeah, but isn't an apology like a sign of weakness? I'm like, no. I don't take blame. I'm sorry that you're in the situation you're in, Justin. I'm sorry that this happened to you. I'm sorry it took till this for us to figure out exactly what we need to do to correct this. I'm sorry that, you had to go through all these things. If I was in your boat, I'd probably feel the same way. If I was in your shoes, I probably would have reacted the same. I probably would have reacted worse. But the good news is we're here now, and I'm really sorry that took for this to take place. But the good news is that it did. So let's take action here, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So it's just adding that extra wrinkle. He's like, he grabs this guy, Nick. He's the producer of this new show, or director of this new show he's got. He goes, Curt, I got a new show coming out this year that's going to be out next year, and it's based on my book, Never Split the Difference. It's about That's Right. So the show's called That's Right. And I'm like, oh, how freaking cool. He goes, I'm interviewing 20 guests for 20 episodes of the show. He goes, and I'm interviewing the best negotiators that I know in the country of every bid for different type of business. I wanted you to be a guest on my show. I'm like, really? I'm like, dude, that way. He goes, dude, you know how to negotiate. You're a badass negotiator. He goes, you're my kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I am. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I literally, in a couple weeks, in 2 weeks, we're flying out to Vegas, or excuse me, not Vegas. We're flying out to Hollywood.
Yep.
We're flying to Hollywood, and we're filming an episode of the show where I'm the guest of his show as an expert negotiator in the country. So
I love it, man.
Yeah. So it just, right. And then what ends up happening, we talk more bourbons.
Yep.
As you know, we just had that huge event. I had him come in as my
he was our keynote speaker.
Right?
Yeah.
So
he crushed it.
Yeah, he did. He nailed that stage.
Yep.
And he's kind of like, and I found an interesting parallel with you and him, because when you tell your story, you build, and it starts off slow, and then it kind of sucks people in a little, like, whoa. And then you start going and look at this, and you get people to literally, you watch their faces, and I know you do because you're up on that stage and you rock a stage, right? So you look and you're feeding off of them, and you watch their reactions, and you see when they're sucked in, so you know you've got them right there.
Yep.
And then you take them to the boom.
Yep.
Moment, right?
Yep.
Of like, oh my God, this can be okay. And whew, man, you took us through this journey. He did the same thing. He starts slow, and he starts taking you through this journey.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I love this. I love this. So I found a parallel with you and him on that, because you guys are very similar that way. So as he was our keynote, he crushed it. We had a great time. I had him here for 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
Gosh, we had a lot of fun. Took him to a concert. We went to see Creed and Three Doors Down and at Pine Knob. We had this whole thing set up, and we just had a blast. And I spent a lot of hours with him each day in those days. And he'd asked me before the event, what's your goal? I said, my goal is that you come to this event and you leave this event saying, this was the most fun event I've ever done.
Yeah.
May not be the most impactful, may not be the greatest one you've ever done. It'll be the most fun one you've ever done. And that if Curt Shewell ever called you and say, Chris, I need you to come to Detroit to do something, you'll say, I'm in, without even questioning it or asking the dates, the times. I'm in.
Yep.
That's what I want. I want you to feel that way about me when you leave, that this event was the most fun you've ever had at an event.
Yeah.
And when he left, it was kind of cool. So he's getting ready to leave. So just so you know, I picked him up at the airport. And I said, he's like, I have a car. I said, no, I'm picking you up. He's like, you're going to personally pick me up? He goes, I don't know that anybody's ever personally picked me up at the airport before. He goes, yeah, you can do that. I said, oh, no, I'm doing that. I'm letting you know. I'm picking you up.
Yeah.
So what I did was I found out that he had never been in a Cybertruck. And so I rented a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine got one. And so I said, hey, dude, I need your Cybertruck. We need to do this. He's like, hell yeah. He's like, can I be the chauffeur and just drive you guys? I said, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll be the passenger and they'll be in the back. I have a little cooler. I've got all their favorite. I know what his favorite drink is. I know what hers is. When they come, I'll have waters for them. I'll have little snacks for them. I'll have everything, because they're coming in like 10 at night.
Yep.
So we picked him up at the airport in a Cybertruck. He thought that was the coolest thing. And when he was leaving, he goes, hey, we're leaving to the airport in a little bit. He goes, are we going in the Cybertruck? I go, no. I said, I already did all that for you. And he laughed, and I said, no. I said, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And he goes, I just want to let you know. I go, what's that? He goes, mission accomplished. I said, oh, no, we killed. This event was fantastic. He goes, no. Your goal. He goes, you hit it out of the park. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Most fun you've ever had an event? He goes, by far, my friend. He goes, I've never had a host treat me as good as you did.
That's awesome.
And he said, this was the most fun, and you're right. If you ever called me, I'm there.
That's so awesome.
And I said, that's good. Well, what ends up happening? He goes, hey, you know the bourbon thing? I said, yeah. So we talk about that. Well, I just partnered with him in a bourbon company.
Wow.
We have a new bourbon coming out. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's going to be called The Difference.
Yeah.
And we're going in October to the distillery where they've been making this for the last 5 years, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
So it has to be 4 years to be a bourbon. And
Yeah.
so I'm learning to be a bourbons now.
Yeah.
So I'm learning about it, but I partnered in it, invested in the company, and I'm partners with Chris on it. And the bottle's called it. It's going to be really a cool thing. So if nothing else, that's going to be another fun thing.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing him in 2 weeks when we go get our bestseller award. We get a Quilly for being the best-selling author.
Yep.
We're in the Hall of Fame, so I got my certificate. It came in the mail. I got that, which was neat.
Yep.
Never thought in a million years I'd write a book. Never thought in a million years I'd be on a TV show, much less two. Never thought that me and Chris Voss would be texting buddies, friends, call each other, talk to each other.
Yep.
I've probably talked to him about 7-8 times. I've put him in touch with a bunch of people that are trying to hire him for things, which obviously is good for his biz.
Yep.
And he even thanked me that. He goes, no one's ever worked this hard to getting me more business. And I said, no, I told you, you're part of my community now. And if we are truly that, and if we're really in business together, then that's what it's got to be.
Yeah.
And he wrote me a really nice thing, and I'll leave it at that. It was really cool. And he told me a few things, and I'm like, man, this is so great.
Yeah.
Me and Chris Voss, like, wow, how neat. How neat. So we're looking at him possibly even coming and speaking at EXPCon. So we'll see if that plays out. But
I love it.
Yeah, Leo and Glenn and them are talking to him. So
I love it.
We'll see how it goes. So what a neat thing. And that's how these just open up to the next, to the next, to the next. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I get people asking me, what's next?
Yeah.
I have no idea because I truly don't. But I know I'm going to be in the room.
Yeah.
And I know that they're going to introduce me to other people.
Yep.
And I know that that's going to open up other doors. And who knows?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I really don't.
Yep.
I just think that if I could do things that are impactful for others and keep them first, more of these opportunities just keep landing in my lap.
Yep.
So the more I do the right thing, the luckier I seem to get.
Yeah.
It ain't luck.
Yeah, it's not.
It's getting in the right room with the right people.
Yeah.
Surround yourself by those people. You're going to be in business with somebody, be in business with the people who can help build you, not the people that can take from you.
Yeah.
Right? So help, and just keep doing that. And I said right at the end of my TV show, there's never a shortage of people that need help.
Yeah.
You know, and
Amen.
you reach out, you help people big time all the time, brother, and you do it two different ways. And I think it's so admirable that, you know, it's what it's all about.
It is.
That's why we resonate.
Yeah.
That's why it's magnetic, and that's why I can't wait to help you. And I don't have to make money from your efforts. It's not about the money.
Right.
It's about the person.
It's about the relationship.
It's about the network.
Yeah.
It's always about the relationship.
Yeah.
So,
wow. I'm super inspired. I didn't know a lot of what you just shared, and I like it that way because I like to hear people's story and what they share authentically for the first time. And I just want you to know I'm proud of you, man.
thank you.
I really am. To hear your journey and what you've gone through and where you are. You've remained the course and you've remained consistent and you've led forward. And I'm blessed to know you, man. I really am.
I'm the fortunate one. I say all the time, I'm the most blessed man on this planet. God's talked to me in ways that he hasn't talked to many people. And people say, hey, yeah, we had these tragedies. I said, it's not. It's God's plan.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to look at the gifts that he's given you. And he wanted me to open my damn eyes. He wanted me to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously I was a little bit slow doing that, right? I did a lot of bad things because I did things for money. I chased money.
Yeah.
And he got me to finally stop
Yeah.
chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Start chasing people, man.
Yeah.
Start doing the right stuff. Put your hand out.
Yep.
You know, like to say, you know, the hand of God reaches out to you. Well, why don't you take it
Yeah.
and see where it takes you?
Absolutely.
So I know this isn't my ride; it's his, and I'm appreciating the journey.
I love that. How can people get a hold of you? I mean, obviously, you're doing some big things at EXP. You're a best-selling author. You've been on a TV show, got another one coming out, and you're starting a bourbon company. If someone wants to get a hold of you, Curt, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Probably just CurtisShewell.com. It gets you to my website. I've got a YouTube. You got to have all these social platforms these days. So, you know, I was the guy that 4.5 years ago didn't even have a Facebook.
Right.
Gogo Bethke made me get a Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, and she kind of joked and laughed at me when I first said, hey, why don't you come work with us? You know, let's build some stuff together. What a great relationship that's been.
Yeah.
And she trusted me to do it. And she's like, you know, you really don't even have a Facebook. I said, no, I don't. She's like, what's wrong with you? I go,
she's the social media queen. So she's like, Curt, you got to get on Facebook.
So I have all these platforms now. So I have a Facebook. I have an Instagram, the TikTok thing. I'm still learning that one. I do have a YouTube channel, but CurtisShewell.com, my website is there. There's every single way possible to get a hold of me is there.
Yeah.
I do a coaching training call you and I were talking about. I'm going to have you on as a guest so we can kill it and have a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
We do a objection handling challenge every Thursday.
Yep.
If you can stump me, then I'll pay $1,000.
Yeah.
Give me a real
And you've
estate.
never had to pay out $1,000.
I've never paid once.
Yep.
No, all the objections are the same.
Yep.
You're a master at them. So, you know, again, putting collaboration, putting people like you and me together to do this kind of stuff, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, but because it helps others, right?
Yeah.
We know how to do it, so let's teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I coach, teach, and train every single morning, 7:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's what we do, and you keep giving, and it's just your routine, right?
Yep.
So I live on my schedule. It's my routine. It's what I do.
Yep.
And it's a lot of fun, and you just keep helping more people, and life keeps going and just keeps building. So that's how I get a lot of people reach out to me. Please do. If there's, you know, I'm always accused of the guy that never says no. I always say yes. You know, I say yes, and then we'll figure it out from there. You know, and you know, just get good at saying yes to people.
Absolutely.
Right? There's always a way. It's just a matter of what is the way.
Yeah.
What would it take? Remember,
Yeah.
the bigger the problem you solve, right?
Yep.
The more changes you're going to make, the more money you'll make too. But you'll make bigger changes in people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's the reward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
When I make somebody hit a level that they've never hit or do something that they've never been able to do and break through and cross over that threshold, that's the most amazing thing. And obviously you think of it with your spouse, you think of it with your kids. But when you can really do it for perfect strangers who become friends, and I always say that, nobody got into real estate because they said, I don't have enough friends. Gosh, I just got to get a real estate license to make more friends.
Right.
We didn't do it for that reason. We did it because it was a means to make money.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we focus on just doing the right things for others?
Yeah.
Right. You'll make great friends when they start making more money.
Right. Yeah.
They will be your best friend.
Absolutely.
Right. Because they will really, really see the value you bring. And remember that. Bring value, and then bring value.
Yeah.
And if you do those three things, bring value,
yep,
you'll see your entire world change.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
So good. Man, it's been such a blessing to have you on the show today, Curt.
Thanks, man.
Honestly, this has been one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, wow.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. This was awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show. And you said your daughter's name's Stephanie. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to Stephanie.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for spending a little bit of time with me on this special day.
Yeah, it just, I think there's a reason.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it when you said, hey, here's some dates. I said, yeah, that one works great. I didn't even realize, at the time when I said, yeah, this is the day. And I think there's no place I would rather have started the day off than here with you today, bro.
Wow. Your daughter's birthday in heaven, right? Mm-hmm. Or her home. Is it birthday or the day she passed?
This is the day she went to heaven.
And this is
her heaven birthday.
Heaven birthday. And
17 today in heaven. She's 28 years old on our earth with us.
And today's our son's birthday.
Yes.
21st birthday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right?
Thanks for being
here,
here,
That's how it all works, man.
Yeah.
It's
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Guys, what an amazing episode. And if you want to reach CurtShewell.com, you can also find him on social media. Absolutely. Go get his book. Watch the show on Amazon. Reach out to him if you want to know more about EXP. This guy is the man. And if you love the episode, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, and go follow Curt. Before we wrap up the show, I do want to remind you that this episode was brought to you by my friends over at Next Door Lending. Next Door Lending is not just our sponsor on the show. This is our lender. This is who we send all of our buyers to on the Justin Ford real estate team. They have over 1,000 5-star reviews, a perfect A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If you're a buyer looking to get pre-approved and purchase a home this year, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. If you are looking to refinance your home and take some cash out, call my friends over at Next Door Lending. And if you're a real estate agent looking for a great lender partner, call my friends over at Next Door Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Two things I always like to leave you with. Number one, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number two, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.